In the pre-dawn darkness of 10th of May 1940, 9 German gliders silently skidded to a stop on the hilltop of the most heavily defended fortress in Europe, disgorging highly trained German paratroopers. These paratroopers were about to attack what was considered the most impregnable fortress in Europe, a mission that was regarded as nothing short of suicidal. Yet, only 6 German Fallschirmjäger were killed and 15 wounded, while 780 Belgian troops marched out of Fort Eben Emel's casemate, hands held high in surrender the next day. Germany's big gamble on this early strike of World War II had worked. The gateway to Belgium was open. Not only had Belgium fallen, but Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and France had also surrendered or were on the brink. By the end of May, British and French forces would be forced to evacuate the continent at Dunkirk. This marked the beginning of 5 long, dark years of German occupation of Western Europe. The world's first glider-borne attack and the capture of Fort Eben Emel in May of 1940 is still used today at West Point and other military colleges as a classic textbook example of the effectiveness of airborne operations. This bold action still heavily influences military planning today. So why did the German High Command choose to attack the most heavily armed fortress in all of Europe as the opening thrust in World War II? Fort Eben Emel lay within 15 miles of the German border, south of the Dutch city of Maastricht, near the Meuse River, the border between the Netherlands and Belgium. The fort Eben Emel was the foremost central bastion in a large chain of 12 formidable and heavily manned Belgian fortresses, interspersed with natural obstacles and marshlands, rivers, valleys, and mountains that ringed the city of Liege and protected the entry to the flatlands of central Belgium. Fort Eben Emel was designed to be a showstopper. Lying alongside the 50-meter wide Albert Canal, dug as a strategic defensive barrier, the fort had large gun casemates emplaced into the side of the canal. Their function was to lay covering fire up and down the canal to protect the 3 large steel bridges that a German army would have to cross to enter Belgium and the Netherlands. The importance of these 3 bridges cannot be underestimated. German divisions first needed to cross the Canne, Vroonhoven and Veldwesel bridges to enter Belgium. If the German forces could be stopped here, or so the thinking went, there would be enough time for the Belgian and the Dutch armies to prepare defensive positions inland, and the invasion would be held up long enough for the French and British armies to rush to the scene. If Eben Emel could not hold, Belgium and the Netherlands would be unable to contain an invasion, and their defenses would likely unravel, exposing the heart of Belgium. Shaped like a diamond, the fort was built between 1932 and 1935. It was literally built into the hill at a cost of 50 million Belgian francs, a massive cost at the time for a small country like Belgium. Eben Emel's design rendered it virtually inaccessible by conventional ground forces. The fort's offensive and defensive capabilities and weaponry were impressive even by today's standards. it boasted a total of 16 gun emplacements. The top of the fort was dotted with 7 fortified blockhouses armed with 60 mm anti-tank cannon and machine guns, stopped with small concrete observation domes. 6 other thick concrete casemates were sprinkled around the top of the fortress, 4 of which were armed with triple 75 mm guns with a range of 7 miles. These casemates covered the southern bridges across the Albert Canal. 3 large cupolas with 360-degree rotating armored domes fitted with twin 75 mm guns that could fire in all directions were also placed on the top of the fortress. The domes could rise above the casemates for better observation and firing elevation, and then to be retracted for reloading. Gun crews consisted of 16 to 30 men, depending on the type and number of guns in the emplacement. Despite the massive machine gun and gun emplacements, the fort's upper surface lacked fully developed belts of barbed wire, mines, and trenches to protect the cupolas from direct airborne attack, simply because Belgian military planners had never thought the idea of an airborne attack was feasible. The scarcity of anti-aircraft emplacements indicates exactly how oblivious the planners were to such an eventuality. The garrison's normal complement of soldiers was 500, plus another 200 for command, technical, and administrative duties. However, in May of 1940, many were sick from throat irritations in the dusty tunnels. On the 9th of May 1940, the day before the attack, the garrison was 250 men below operational strength at this crucial time. And now, let's see the German plan to take Fort Eben Emil. The airborne assault on the fort was only one part of a very complex airborne and ground attack plan. German strategy called for 3 other glider parties to be launched at the same time as the Eben Emil assault group. These 3 groups were to attack the 3 road bridges across the Albert Canal. Sturmgruppe Stahl, or Assault Group Steel, was to capture the Waldwesel Bridge. Sturmgruppe Beton, or Concrete, would attack the Frönhofen Bridge, and Sturmgruppe Eisen, or Assault Group Iron, was to capture the bridge at Cannes. All bridges had been wired for demolition by the Belgians, so the assault groups had to land as close as possible to the target bridges in simultaneous surprise attacks before they could be defeated by the Belgian defenders. All of this while the fort was being neutralized by the 4th Glider Assault Group, codename Sturmgruppe Granit, or Assault Group Granit. It was the largest of the 4 groups, with 86 men assigned. To take these 4 difficult targets on the very first day of the attack, a special unit, Sturmabteilung Koch, or Assault Battalion Koch, was set up. Altogether, 420 German paratroopers and 42 glider pilots were under the overall command of Captain Walter Koch. Then paratroopers would land to provide support 40 minutes after the initial glider landings, followed by the 4th Panzer Division of the German 6th Army that would provide artillery support as the troops approached the bridges from the border. That was the German plan. The key to successfully overcoming the fort's defenses would be knock out the fortifications within the first hours, while the Belgians were confused and disoriented. If this could not be done, the Belgians would have time to regroup and counterattack, hindering the Fallschirmjägers' demolition of the guns. The fortress assault group, so Sturmgruppe Granit, was divided into 11 sections with one section in each glider. Each section was assigned a particularly numbered target on the fort's surface. Granit's first priority was to destroy the anti-aircraft guns, then the observation domes on the top of the casemates. Then the German troops would destroy the guns pointing north. The German paratroopers would be relieved within 42 hours by pioneers of the 51st Battalion of the 151st Infantry Regiment. The Sturmgruppe Granit glidermen, under the direct command of First Lieutenant Rudolf Witzig, were specially trained paratrooper combat engineers, trained in firearms, demolition, and survival skills. With much emphasis placed on independent thinking and mental and physical resilience. They trained in complete secrecy for 6 months before the attack, completely cut off from the outside world. No mail, no visitors, no leave, and no contact with other German soldiers were permitted. Their parachute badges were removed from their uniforms. The exact place they were going to attack was never mentioned. They only learned the name of the fortress after they had captured it. True paratroopers who were overheard making indiscreet comments about their mission were court-martialed and sentenced to death. The training of Sturmgruppe Granit was unique, but Germany had 2 other secret weapons that the paratroopers used for the first time. A new type of explosive, the hollow charge weapon, without which the attack could not have been attempted. By shaping conventional explosives around a copper cone, the detonation produced a jet of molten metal that could penetrate nearly 10 inches of steel and even go through almost 14 inches of concrete, perfect for the bunker busting at Fort Eben a mile. The shaped charges came in 2 sizes. The largest charge, weighing 110 pounds, was in 2 sections and had to be hand-placed on the bunker. Then a fuse had to be lit while the soldiers took cover. The second weapon was the DFS-230 assault glider. It could carry 9 troopers, a pilot, or several hundred pounds of ammunition. It was towed by a transport plane, and once released, it could glide 12 miles and land accurately on a pinpoint target. Its undercarriage was a skid attached below the fuselage. As the date for the operation drew near, the gliders were disassembled and loaded into furniture trucks, then transported to the Cologne airfield under heavy security and along empty roads at night. The airfield was surrounded by barbed wire and hidden from the view of other German troops. At midnight on the 9th of May, the German High Command issued orders to start the invasion of Belgium. Captain Koch received the orders 40 minutes later. He woke his men and ordered them to make the final preparations. The departure time was at 4:30 a.m., calculated to have all 4 glider groups landing at 5:25 a.m. on their various targets. All went smoothly, and at 4:35 the last glider was off the ground. The attack started.